Okay, good morning. Sabah al-khair. Bonjour. Buenos dias.
And good evening to all.
Yeah, good evening. Okay, sorry. Of course, yes. Of course, yes. Oh, nice.
Good morning.
Okay,
good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
good everything. Yeah, sure. So I saw people are still coming. So happy to be with you again for the third week. Okay, so we can start if you want, because colleagues can join us. Okay, so good morning again. We will move to module 3 on opening up education with OER and MOOCs. And we have new, not new members, new experts. We have with us 2 experts. I will invite them to introduce themselves, and then they will start doing this module. We all are here. I saw was also is with us. So maybe Daniel and Imrana and other colleagues will join us. So please, Ahmed, just you can go ahead, introduce yourself and what you have to say to participants for this module 3, and then go ahead with this activity. Okay, thank you. So we will stay with you all together. Thank you so much, Ahmed.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear Khaled. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you here in our training, which will be about opening up education with OER and MOOCs. So for today's sessions, me and my colleague, Professor Lilia Shniti, will be the instructor of this module. So my name is Ahmed Lili. I'm an associate professor from Beijing Normal University. My colleague is Professor Lilia Shniti. She is from the University of Sousse, Tunisia, and we will be happy today to interact and discuss how to open up education through OER and MOOCs. So about our session for today, it will be as follows. So as you know, we have 2 hours. So for the first hour, it will be divided to 2 parts. The first part will be taken care by my colleague, Professor Lilia Shniti, and it will be talking about the theoretical part, means some definitions, some concepts, etc. And then we will move in the first hour for the second part to talk about the practical parts. For instance, how to create an OER, how to search for OER, etc. So in this way, we will be having both fundamental and practical knowledge about OER. Then the second hour will be for discussion and interaction. And of course, it will be divided to 2 parts. The first part will be about Q&A. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, we will be happy to answer it. And of course, if you have further questions, even about something that we did not discuss, of course, feel free to ask about it. And also the second part of the second hour will be more about like knowing and learning about some of what's happening related to OER in your universities. So we have these questions in our forum, in the Moodle, but we will also ask them and listen to you. And of course, we will learn more about these in the second hour. So now, without any further delay, I will move and give the floor to my dear friend and colleague, Lilia, to start this course. Thank you so much.
Good morning, dear colleagues and dear friends. Thank you very much, my dear friend and dear colleague Ahmed, for the nice introduction of our session. Thank you very much to my colleague Khalid and my colleague Daniel for the coordination of this training and for taking care of about the session. So so as I have been introduced by my colleague Ahmed, so I'm professor at Sousse University, and my presentation will be basically about some fundamental concepts or some theoretical concepts related to open educational resources that we maybe need for the activities that we propose in this session. So I will share my screen and move to my presentation. Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yes.
So as explained by my friend Ahmed, so actually we will have basically two synchronous meetings. The first one will be today. The second one will be on Thursday. For today, we have actually planned to first present the main concepts related to open education resources, and then we will see the importance of searching high quality open education resources and the way that we may find and we may search and identify resources that are really related to our teaching or to our needs. Then we will move to the way that we may reuse and adapt these resources and the way that we may create and share these resources. For the Thursday meeting, we planned that we will more focus on MOOCs, which is a part of the learning outcomes of this session. So we will on Thursday speak about the importance of MOOCs and the openness of MOOCs, and then we will speak about the pedagogical approaches in using MOOCs and the way that we may integrate MOOCs in our campus-based learning. So let's first start with our presentation, and then I'm sure that you have already discovered the concept of open education resources, but let's review together what are these resources. These resources could be teaching material, could be learning material, and it could be also research material. These resources could be either digital or also non-digital resources. So actually, a very important thing that we have to think about it before using these resources is what types of or what kinds of benefits we have in using these resources. And for that, we have to think about three main actors that we have in our pedagogical process. We have the learner, we have the teacher, and we have the academic institution or the universities. From the side of the learner, when they will access to OER, they will have a kind of autonomy. They will have the opportunity to access to various learning resources, to be able to be in various forms of learning, either formal or informal or lifelong learning, and they will be gain in terms of digital competencies. From the side of teacher, they will save time because they will have the opportunity to use these OERs and to integrate them in their teaching material. They will gain in visibility, and they will be able, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing in using OERs, is that we will be able to design pedagogical innovation scenarios. For example, we may design flipped classroom scenarios that are based on OERs that we searched, that we found, and that are appropriate to our teaching material. On the side of the academic institution or the universities, this will enable universities to share more learning resources, in particular with new teachers. When they arrive at the university, they do not have idea how they prepare their courses, and based on this OER, they will be able to prepare easily their courses. And then the university will also gain on visibility, and we will have a kind of democratization of the access to knowledge. So I have already explained that in terms of using OERs, we will enhance our lessons, we will improve our teaching, we will increase access to education, and we will increase the access of the students to the knowledge. But when we will create and share OERs, which is the main focus of our module, we will be more active in the production of knowledge, which means that we will have maybe more citation of our resources, and we will have a kind of university recognition. So basically, when we use these OERs, we have two formats. Either the resource is free, which means that we have unrestricted access to the resource, or the resource is governed by the 5 R's of openness. Let's check these 5 R's, which are the main important thing in our module. So the 5 R's are 5 verbs or 5 actions that could be possible when we use these OERs. First, we will be able to reuse the resources, which means that this will enable us to use the resource or the OER in a wide range of ways. Second, we will be able to revise the resource, which means that we will be able to adapt, to translate, to modify the resource according to our needs. Third, we will be able to remix the resource, which means that we will be able to, for example, to take this OER and to combine it with other OERs to produce a new one. And then we will be able to share the OER, which means redistribute. And finally, we will be able to retain, which means that we will be able to make our own copies, to download these OERs and to make our own copies. These 5 R's are very important when we are in a framework of OERs. And to check whether you have well understood these 5 R's, we have prepared a quiz. So let's check if you have understood well these 5 R's. And the question is the following: which one of the following answers is not one of the 5 R's permissions associated with OERs as defined by David Wallace? So you have 4 answers, and please tell me which one is not part of the 5 R's.
Review.
Who said review?
Yes, it's me.
Yes, please, could you please explain?
Sorry?
Thank you very much. It's I tell you the truth, this is correct answer. So why?
Okay.
Well, because the 5 R's were revise, retain, remix, and redistribute. Review was not in those 5 R's.
Yes, that's true. And review is actually part of another R. So when we revise, it's actually, we will review naturally the resource. So this is to confirm what you have said. So when we revise, revise is one of the 5 R's. So it refers to the right to adapt, to adjust, to modify the content. Retain means that it refers to the right that we will make our own copy. Review is not part of the 5 R's. It is important to review the resource. It is important to check the permissions of to check actually the resource. It will be maybe part of the revise. And finally, remix is part of the 5 R's, and it is the way that we may combine this resource with other resources. Let's move to the second quiz. So the question is the following: which one of the following permission under the 5 R's framework best describes the activity of translating an OER from one language to another? So the translation would be from would corresponds with which one of the 5 R's?
Revise.
Why?
Remix.
Remix. Because when you revise, you are allowed to adapt and translate and to change anything you want.
Okay, let's check. This is a correct answer. Bravo. So this is the right that this is the correct answer, because when you revise, you will when you translate, you will revise. You will actually adapt that to what your needs. When you retain, you will make a copy, as I said. When you remix, you will combine that with another resource. But when you redistribute, you will actually share the resource. So actually, even when you translate, you will then share the resource. But the first step is to revise it. So translation is related to the revision. So I think you have already discovered the licenses. You spoke about the Creative Commons licenses, and only one slide related to the licenses. We will actually upload the slides on the platform so that you will have the opportunity also to have a look on the slides that we are presenting today. So the licenses, actually, you have already discovered it, but I would like to draw your attention to the fact that these 5 Rs are also combined or are part of these licenses. As you see, we put here the 5 Rs, and you see that these 5 Rs are already in the 4 licenses that are the most provide us with the most freedom actually to use the resources. So important thing in our module is the process of the use and the creation of the OERs. You will be invited through the activities that we have already on the platform to search for OERs and also to create your own OERs. So what are the steps that you should follow in order to use and to create your OERs? First thing, when you think about using OERs, most important thing is to respect licenses that are related to the OER that you have identified or that you found very interesting to your teaching material. Second thing, if you decide to create your OERs, so either you will produce your original content, so you have to specify the metadata and you have to choose your CC license, and my friend Ahmed will show you the way that you will specify this metadata, or you will create your OER from existing OERs. And for that, you have actually to respect the combination rules about how you take an OER which has a specific license, and you have actually to check what type of license you will provide for the new OER. So the process that you will follow in order to create or to use the OERs is the following. First step is to identify your learning needs. This is a very important step because this will impact the way that you will search for the OERs. Identify your needs, and this will actually is correlated to the motivation for using the OERs. Then you will search for the OERs. Then you will select the most appropriate one. You will use it, and maybe you will adapt it and then use it. And then you will evaluate after using this OER and share it, and again, maybe adapt it again. Let's check what are the steps in details. So first step is identifying learning needs, which is that this is, as I said, the motivation for searching the OERs which are linked to your goals, to your teaching material. Second thing is the search for OERs, and for that, in the practical part of our session today, you will have the opportunity to see and to discover the way that we may access to what we call Oer Repositories, which are a collection of open shareable resources, and how we can, based on keywords, identify the OERs that are most appropriate to our needs. This is a padlet which is very interesting. You will find the link also when we upload the slides on the LMS, and you may also access to this Padlet and find many links to Oer repositories. Then you will go to a step further, which is the selection of the OERs, and that in this step you will look for the OER which is most appropriate, which could be adapted to your context and which has, in your opinion, the best quality. And finally, you will actually evaluate, as I said, the OER. And when you evaluate it, actually you have to consider the following questions. Who is the target audience for your OER? What are the learning outcomes? Whether the language is appropriate or not for your learners? What are maybe the changes that you have to make in order to be able to use this OER? And finally, before moving to the description of the activities that we propose for you in this module, we would like to draw your attention to the fact that OER is only one part of the whole framework of open education and open educational framework. Because when you use OER, you maybe will be in a process of an open pedagogy, which is a process based on sharing data, on sharing learning processes, on cooperation between various actors, on participation and involvement of the various actors, on sharing open practices, and improving education through the involvement of all actors. We will come back on this slide during our next synchronous meeting, but please take into consideration the fact that OER is only one component of a whole framework of open education, open education. Now I will move to the last slides of my theoretical part, which are the description of the activities that we propose for you for this module. We actually propose for you 3 activities. The first one is a very important one because it will give you the opportunity to share maybe the initiative that you maybe have in your universities. We have already posted on the forum of this activity these 2 questions. And we kindly ask you, when you post your answer, to post it to make reply to the question so that all answers will be related to each question. So the first one is, maybe you have first to introduce your university and maybe to tell us whether there are or not initiative, OER initiative. The second one is whether your university has or not a policy recommendation for the use of open licenses and encouraging the use of OERs. This is the first activity. The second one is a process of an implementation of the process that I have shown in 2 slides before, which means that we will first start with the identification of the resources that could be used part of your teaching. So you are kindly asked to find at least 2 different resources, 2 resources from 2 types. And to tell us, please, where did you find this resource? How, what type of inquiry or what type of search you have done in order to find these resources, and what type of licenses are related to these resources, and what quality considerations. So you have actually to answer these questions and also to provide us with the links of the resources that you have identified in an assignment, and to deposit your work in the assignment related to the activity 3.2. The last activity is an activity of creation of an OER. So in this case, so you will actually select maybe some resources and create your new OER you go to the site Creative Commons license. You may choose the license that which is most appropriate to your OER, and then you are kindly asked to share this this OER either on YouTube or on your website, and to provide us with the link with your OER. These are the three activities that we kindly ask you to prepare in the framework of this module. Now we will move to the practical part, which will be presented by my dear friend Ahmed. And I kindly ask you to, if you have questions, to post your questions on the chat, and we will answer your questions once my colleague Ahmed will finish his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, dear Lilia. Very insightful presentations and information. Hopefully all the audience are now getting familiar with OER and how to search OER and how to find OER, and of course, how to select OER. So like you said, now we will move to have more practical knowledge, at least so we can better understood OER. And let me first share my screen. So let me share my whole screen. Okay, should be perfect. Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, let's suppose I'm a teacher or I'm a student, and I would like to start searching for one specific OER. So how to do that? According maybe to your previous knowledge, or according like to your thoughts, how to search for an OER? Could you please let me know? Feel free to unmute your microphone and please, yeah.
Start by searching in Google.
Okay, so Google, that's one method. Okay. That's correct. Any other options?
Yeah. So
There is an echo.
Can you hear me?
Yep, but there is an echo. Please.
You still have the echo?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will keep it. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, now much better.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Now it's much better. So yeah, please go ahead.
We can go and search in some platforms like the Common Creative OER, or I find some platforms like B9, which was in French, and for me it was easier to find things, and some others like Université Numérique or other platforms. So you have to look for these platforms. And what I saw, it takes a lot of time also to first to look for the platforms, and then in the platforms, even if you enter all what you need, it takes time, I mean, because you have to check for everyone if it's the right resource or something like this.
Perfect, perfect. So thank you so much. So just to combine both of your answers. So one of your friends said Google, and your other colleague said other platforms. So to combine both answers, just one second, please, what's happening? So yeah, to combine both answers, finding OER could be through two ways. The first way is using generic search. So when we say generic search, means something is in general. And in this context, if we say something is in general, we could talk about like search engines, like Google, like Yahoo, like Baidu, etc. And also the second method, which is quite the opposite of a generic, which is dedicated search. And in this context, we will go and search specifically in OER repositories. So again, we have generic and specific. So generic is we will be searching within generic search engines like Google means Google could give you some findings which are open educational resources or not. So it will give you both. That's why it's generic search. However, for dedicated search, and in this context, we will go and search for OER repositories, means those repositories or platforms are specifically dedicated for OER. So let's start by the easiest one, and I think you all are familiar with, which is through generic search. And in this case, we could use, for instance, Google. So in Google, we could search, for instance, we could simply say like open educational resources, and then it will give us bunch of results and findings. Also, so this one is, I assume that everyone is familiar with, but also when we search, there are several tricks which we could use to make our search more like accurate, and we have more accurate results. For instance, if let's suppose I'm searching for a course about technology or educational technology, and it should be as open educational resources. So we could use plus educational technology. So in this case, we use the plus, which will be the combination of OER, the first term, and the second term. Also, we could use this. So also we could use this. So here we have some tricks which could show us how to combine both terms, which are open educational resources and educational
please,
technology.
I can't see the first sample, please. Oh, okay, thanks.
So yeah, you are welcome. So in this context, of course, we can play with the terms. Whatever you need, you can say open educational resources and something else. So and or plus is used to combine both terms together. Also, we have something called asterisk, which is, for instance, is to see the definition of something. For instance, I want to know like open educational resources is, and I'm not sure what open educational resources is. So I put this asterisk and I do something like this. So open educational resources is, and then I put this asterisk, which is the star, and my code. So if I go down below, we can see in bold, for instance here, open educational resources is to give educators and students, blah, 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 blah. Or if we keep searching, for instance here, also in bold. So the results which are significant are highlighted in bold, as you can see here. So here we can also see open educational resources is the simple and powerful idea that the world's knowledge, blah, 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 blah. Again, if we keep going, we can see also here, open educational resources is the first report of its kind, blah, 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 blah. So here, as you can see, even in our generic search, we still have some tricks which could show us or which could help us to get more accurate results, like the asterisk, like the and or the plus sign, which could help us to combine different words, etc. So these are like very briefly the easiest way to find results related to OER within, of course, the generic search, which I assume you all are familiar with because we all are using Google every day. The second way, which we said is dedicated, and it's called dedicated because we are searching within OER repositories. So OER repositories contains like shareable resources, which could be downloaded and reused for different purposes. And in this context, we will go through different repositories together. One of the famous and most known OER repositories is Oer Commons. So in OER Commons, if you go here, oercommons.org, you can have this interface. And in this interface, as you can see here, it has different search levels. So the first one is the subject. For instance, let's select education. Then we have education level, let's say, for instance, preschool. So now we are just randomly selecting different things. Standard, do we need any standards? Yes, no, depends on your search. So if you don't need any standards, you don't need to specify anything. And for instance, here we can say, I don't know, anything like math, for instance. So we have our search, which will be math, and the subject will be education, and it will be dedicated for preschool. And then we can click search. And based on what we selected in our search like query, we could obtain these findings. So for instance, Math Center overview, and here it gives you the license. Like we said, the license is very important. So basically here you can see that this one is CC by NCSA. So when you click on the small I, it gives you more information. So it means you can use it and share, but you don't have the right to use it for commercial purposes. And when you share it, you must cite the original author. So here, as you can see, and also the most important things, we talked about quality. So for instance, according to these findings, how can I know, at least from this interface, how can I know which one at least is or has the highest quality? Could you please tell me? For instance, it's very easy.
The
So,
feedback in terms of 5-star ratings. That
exactly, perfect. So one of the things that is very important in OER is rating, user rating. So user rating is also not something new. It exists in several platforms like Play Store, etc. And a lot of OER repositories are using this technique, which is based on the user's feedback. For instance, here, I can see that this one does not have a new rating. So it's almost no stars. All of them are in gray. However, when I go to this one, I can easily see that it's 5 stars. So 5 stars means a lot of users have used these resources and they liked it. And that's why we already have like 5 stars for it. So based on the user's feedback, I can then decide, the first one is not, maybe is not good for me. So I need to move to the second one, which is pattern ball. And then you can access to it, for instance. Okay, how can I hide this one? So here you can see, we can see our course that we opened, which is pattern ball, and you can download it. See here. So here we have the cloud and the arrow, and when you put cursor on it, it's hash over it, you have the download link. Also, if you have a class, because you can create classes on Oer Commons, you can share it to your class, and also you have the possibility to remix it. So once you create a profile in here, you can remix it. So when you go to this one, as we said, you can see the language, which is English. You can see the CC BY license, and also you can see the author here. It's Sukert, and the date when it was added. So it was added in 2020. So basically, it gives you all the information you need about this resource. So this is the first OER repository for dedicated search, which is the Oer Commons. The second one is, I'm not sure if you guys heard of Alexo or not, but also Alexo has created an Alexo OER hub, which covers the 22 Arab countries. And in this one also, you can search for different resources and applications. So the website here is also, it's hosted on Oer Commons hubs, and then we have Alexa. Of course, later on you will find the recording of our sessions today, and then you can easily go back and check the links, and then you can visit them by yourself. So in here also, you would like to search for something. So for instance, let's say games. I would like to search for games in Alexa Oer. And when you click on games and you click search, you have 86 results. And through those 86 results, you can personalize them. So here you can see, for instance, the first one is maze game. Then you have curious mathematics match game, blah, blah, blah. As you can see here, the ratings. There is no ratings in here, but here it has 3 stars, which means it's an acceptable game, etc. And if you look from the left side, which is this panel, so you can see different variables that you could control. And if you modify these variables, you will also personalize your search. For instance, I would say, like, for subject areas, I would see, or I would like to find only games focusing on mathematics. And if you hit mathematics in here, you will see our search results has been personalized. So previously we have 86 games in total. Now, when we selected mathematics, we only have 50 games. So here, our search results is showing only games which are focusing on mathematics, like mathematic match game, 100 chart digital game, etc. Then I could go further. I say, okay, I'm not interested in all educational levels. I'm interested, maybe, let's say middle school, for instance. So if you search middle school, so now we have 2 variables. First variable is mathematics for education, and the second variable is educational level, which is middle school. And again, we can see that our search is being personalized more and more. And now, instead of having 56 second time, now we only have 14 games. So here we can see that the dedicated search could be much easier in giving first OER resources, because again, like I said, against the generic search, which is Google, for instance, or Yahoo or Baidu, etc., those search engines gives you everything, including OER. Of course, we still have some tricks which we could use to have more specific and more accurate results, but it's not that accurate. I need to go through a lot of resources which could help me, hopefully, to find the thing that I need. However, if I'm using search Oer Repositories, which is the dedicated first, I'm pretty sure that I will only have Oer Repositories only, and then Oer resources only, and then I'm having different variables or different settings that I could work with and I could play with in order to have more accurate and easy resources. So as you can see in here, for instance, I can easily identify mathematics games which are dedicated for middle school. So as you know, we have hundreds of Oer repositories. So we saw Oer Commons, we saw Alexa. Also, we have Oer Africa, which also a very well-known initiatives, and it had a big impact in Africa. As you know, educational resources are very expensive, and especially in Africa, having OERs would benefit with reducing educational expenses. So that's why this initiative was launched, which is OER in Africa. And here, of course, you can select the type of resource you are looking for. Could be case studies, could be conference paper and presentation, could be courseware, could be journal articles, etc. So you can select whatever you need, theme, I would say, okay, I'm interested in agriculture. So we say I'm interested in agriculture, okay, and then I hit search. So here it gives you like some papers which is about Ghana, and it talks about like agriculture, and it's a journal paper. We can keep going. So for instance, we also have Merlot. So this is the website, merlot.org, and it also, you can search for a lot of things. We also have Commonwealth of Learning, OASIS, which is also very, very popular, and you have different parameters which you could focus on, like authors, like subjects, like documents type. So these are like OER repositories where you will find OERs published in there. And then you can make use of, you can create, and you can search for a lot of things. So again, and to summarize, we have two ways of searching for OER. The first way is the generic search. And once again, to recap, we are saying generic because it's not something specific, and we could have both open educational resources and non-open educational resources. We could play along with some tricks, like the asterisk, like the combination with plus or the and, like the minus, if we want to exclude specific terms, and we could have somehow more accurate results. But the easiest way and the most recommended way is to know OER repositories. And then you can go directly to them and you can search them. That's why when we start like talking about OERs, the most important thing is to always talk to users about what type of OER repositories we have, because having knowledge about OER repositories would definitely help you in identifying the OERs that you are looking for later on. So we have like some repositories focusing on specific like subject, like let's say mathematics or something else, or specific educational level like higher education. And also we could have some repositories like the ones we showed now. They are covering everything. You could have different topics or different subjects with also different educational levels. So this is the first step, which is OER search, or how to search for OER. We saw two methods. Now, let's move to creating an OER. So let me ask you, if we want to create an OER, how can we do that? Please.
Sorry. To create an OER, when you are in the OER community, creative community, there is a place where there is written down, create your own OER. So there is a space where you can write down something, and then I tried yesterday, and then they give you the steps, the different steps, I think.
Perfect. Thank you, Lina. So Lina said a very easy method which could help us create an OER. Okay, that's perfect. Do we have another method? So like OER search, we have the generic and we have the dedicated. So for creating OER, it's almost the same. So yeah, please.
Yeah, I think if you want to start from scratch, you have to define your goal of establishing or creating this OER, and then build your own, either from scratch based on the knowledge content available, and whether it's of course video or audio or whatever. And of course you have to depend or use some OER, because to make it an OER, you have to use an OER content. You may revise it, edit, change, whatever, and then make it again available to everyone as OER.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Ghassan. Thank you so much. So here I will combine both what Ghassan and Lina said, and I will say for creating OER, we have two methods. The first method, which is from scratch and manually, we will create our own OER by ourselves. This is one. Of course, if I'm a teacher, I want to teach educational technology course, so I will create my own OER by myself. Then I will save it, put it online on my website or any other OER repository, and then bingo, I have my OER resources online. This is the first way, which is, I would call it the dirty way, because everything is manually and everything should be built from scratch. So this is the first way. The second way, which Lina talked about, which is more easier. So in some OER repositories, we have something called offering tools. So what's offering tools? You can see it or you can understand it from the name. It comes from author. So offering tools. So offering tools, like Lina said, it's some software or tools available online, which could help you to easily create and publish your open educational resources. So we will go through both of these methods. Like I said, the first one is manually from scratch, like Ghassan said, and here we go back to think about generic search. So it's something very generic. And the second way, which is through authoring tools. And in this authoring tools, it will be much easier because we have a software, and second, we will be guided by the system itself, and we will see how. So let's say we will go with the first one, which is creating like a resource manually. So to create a resource manually, let's suppose, okay, now I want to create, this is some information about a journal called Computers in Education. So
Can I ask a question?
Ghassan, your voice is like disconnecting.
Okay. Okay. Suppose I'm teaching a course and I'm using, okay, and I want to create, let's say, a PowerPoint presentation for this one. Now, once I created this PowerPoint presentation based on that textbook, am I able to have it as an OER? Because the textbooks are copyrighted usually.
So if you are using others' resources, we should respect their copyright. So if the resources or this textbook says you don't have the permission to use my information or the information that I gave within this textbook, of course we cannot use it. So that's why we need to go back and see the copyright of that textbook or that resources. So that's something else. That's something else. Maybe we can go back later to it when we have like our Q&A to further talk about it. But definitely, if you want to create your OER as a PowerPoint, that's totally fine. If you want to create your OER as a PDF file, that's also totally fine.
Because sorry, on textbooks, sometimes you say you may for education and purposes only, and that side of the license. So I mean, could I use that? Because they say, okay, if it's for educational purposes, there's no problem. So can I use that type of license to create an OER and then make it an OER for everyone?
Yeah, if they say for educational purposes you can use it, then I think it's totally fine. But again, you definitely need to double check, for instance, with the publisher or with the author if you have the permission or not. So like I said, licenses is a very hot topic and a very hot issue in not only in OER, but in educational resources in general, because we definitely need to respect that. If they say you can use it only for educational purposes, I assume you can do it. But of course, again, you need to double check with the publisher or with the authors. Do not have any like copyright issue with them. But that's definitely something else. So
Thank you.
You are always very welcome. So let's go back. So I said we have the manual way of creating OER, and also we have the second way, which is like Lina said, authoring tools which are from online. We start with the first way, which is the manual way. The manual way, let's suppose I'm a teacher. I want to create a PDF which will be as OER. So here, to simplify the task, I randomly copy paste this content. So according to blah, 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 blah. So these information are about one of the journals that my university is funding. So I put the information here. Of course, we need to not forget that we need to add the license, because OER is open educational resources which must contain an open license. So for instance, this is my course. I put here the title, everything, all this is my course. Then I added this license, CC BY. So now my OER is almost ready. I have the content, I have the license. So what do you guys think? Is this everything? Should I now save it and put it online? Or is there something missing? What do you think? So this is my course. Let's suppose this is my course. I have the content, I have the license. Okay, now I'm ready. Is it everything? So should I save it as a PDF, for instance, and put it online to everyone? Or maybe we could work it out with something else?
The name of the author.
Okay, that's a very good point. Name of the author. Okay, what else?
You have to precise to give some precisions on for whom, and the keywords, maybe something more precise so that people can go straight away to this document.
Perfect.
Objectives and
exactly. So here we could add two things. First thing, like you said, educational level, like objectives, blah, blah, blah. This is one. And also we need to add what we call metadata. So how to do this, for instance, in Microsoft Word? I'm showing you the most basic and the most common method. We all are teachers which are used like Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. So this is like the most basic and the most easiest thing. So here we have something called file. When we click on it to save, if we go and see from the right side, we have something called properties. And here we have title, tags, and everything. So why do we need this metadata? Why do you need that? Can anyone tell me why do we need? Why do I need to specify?
I
Yes,
didn't
please.
understand what you mean about metadata.
Okay, so metadata, like you said, so see here we have title. So we need to specify like title. Here is a journal of, for instance, education. And then here is tags, which is keywords. So I say journal. I see education. I say, I don't know, learning, etc. So these are called metadata. What's metadata? Metadata is an information which describes another information. That's why it's called metadata. So it's an information which describes another information. So in here, our metadata is title, tags, authors, etc., which describes our document, which is this Word document that we are creating now.
Okay.
So, please.
How did you find this file? From your text?
So
When
this
you
file, you can suppose you will create the file by yourself. So for here, like to save time, I open the Word document. I put the content in it. So I suppose, or I assume this is my course. I'm developing a course on Microsoft Word, which I will be saving it as a PDF. Then I will put it online on my website.
No, I didn't understand how you came to this part of your document. Can
Okay.
You understand
Yes.
what I mean? I have my document. Yeah, this one.
So this is my document on Microsoft Word. I put everything, the content. Then we go here.
Okay.
File. So
Okay.
when you click on file, and on the right side, this part, we can see title, which is Journal of Education.
Okay.
Tags, etc. So subject here, we can say a subject is also education. Can anyone tell me why do we need this information?
That someone else is looking for this, knows who he has to attribute to, and keep a track of your resources.
Exactly. Not only for users. Can anyone else tell me?
No, exactly. Search also for search.
Search, yeah. Search what?
It can be used to search specific information or specific file in our folders.
Not only in our folders. So we have something called search indexing. What search indexing means? I could put my document, this Word document or PDF document online, but it will not be indexed by search engines. That's why metadata is very important in OER. So we can easily find OER. Not we find OER, but the search engines find the OER based on these metadata. So if I don't have metadata, or if I have poor metadata, my document will not be indexed by the search engines. So if my document is not indexed by the search engines, it means that my documents will not be found by the search engines, and consequently, it will not be shown to users. So that's why having accurate and rich metadata is very important in OER, so we can find them easily. So now we are talking about using artificial intelligence to automatically create tags or metadata for our open educational resources. So the algorithm will scan the content and then it will automatically start giving tags. The tags are like what the document is talking about. So again, that's why I said, if I simply create this document, which is a course, let's assume it's a course, and save it without adding those metadata and put it online, maybe it will not be indexed by Google. And in this context, if, for instance, I'm searching about Journal of Computers in Education, the Google will not show me my document because it does not contain metadata, and consequently, it's not indexed. So that's why it's always very important to create metadata for your tags. So that's why when we go here, we have something. When we click on file, we create tags. Tags means what are the topics of your document. So here we say journal, education, learning, etc. And you keep putting the title. Here you can add the subject, education. So here you can see a lot of metadata that too many authors do not pay attention to. And this will lead to a very poor metadata, and consequently, it will be very difficult to find your OER search. So that's why always pay attention to something called metadata. And as I showed you here, it's very easy to add your metadata to your Microsoft Word document by simply creating on file. This is one. Two, there is something also very important, which is called accessibility. So accessibility means, is your document accessible to everyone, including those with disabilities? Yes or no? So for instance, if I have this document, again, this is my course. So I go to something file, same thing. And then we have something called check for issues. See here? So when I click check for issues, we have something called check accessibility. So when I click on check accessibility, I see here, it gives me something. It says hard to read text contrast. When I click on it, it gives me the title. So here, what it means maybe the title is very hard to read. Of course, as you can see, because of the size and also because of the color. So here, if we have something maybe who has some colorblind, or who is like he has like some problems with his eyes or her eyes, it will be very difficult for him or her to read this one. So this means that my document is not fully accessible. So in this context, I could just simply like increase the size of the text, change the color, let's say automatic, save the document. Now, if I go again, file, check for issues, check accessibility, see, it says no accessibility issues found. Again, another thing that we need to pay attention to, we need to always make our document accessible. Accessible means everyone, or most of the people at least, could access to your document and read it. So we need to always avoid small size text. We need to avoid like colors which are not very clear or like could be harmful to some people, etc. So this is like the easiest way to create manually an OER resources. So of course, after we prepare everything, we save it, and then I could put it online on my website so other people can access to it. So this is the first way. So I will try to go fast now because we are running out of time, and we will go to the second way, which is the authoring tool way. So let me go back. Yeah.
Excuse me, Ahmed, because Lina and Yamina were formed to say something. Please, if you can take just briefly.
Yes. Please.
My question, please, is to have these logos of the creative license. Where can we get them? Because I don't know where to find them when you want to do all these steps. Where can you go and find these logos like NC and buy and everything? Yeah, this.
Yeah, so for these ones, you can go to the Creative Commons websites and you will find them there. Or also the easiest way is to search on Google, and they will give you all these images like as PNG, and you simply copy paste them.
This is so Ahmed, but excuse me, Lina, but we spent 4 hours explaining correctly things during the module 2. You have to go, as Ahmed said, in many ways, but Creative Commons, you will create your own, of course, according to your choice.
No, this I understand. It was just to practically to have it in your documents. I didn't know that you have just
create. You can create.
Now I understand. It's not that I don't understand the things. It's really practically to pass them to
Google image.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you permit, Khalid and Lina, I will put also on the chat box this because it was already actually addressed in the module 2. I may put 3 slides with screenshots from the Creative Commons where they can pick the logo. Just 3 slides. Okay. Thank you very much, Khalid.
Thank you.
Amina.
Actually, Lina, we covered this last Thursday. This was the whole session Dr. Khalid covered and showed us how to do it. Now, I just had a remark with respect to those to the metadata for indexing, and I wanted to say that this is more or less like putting keywords in our papers, scientific papers, when we publish. This facilitates research and helps index our papers. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Exactly, Amina. That's a very good example of like simplifying the process. So yeah, using keywords in our papers will help in indexing and finding your paper by other users. Yeah, that's a very good example in simplifying the process. So now,
Ahmed, sorry, excuse me. There is Professor Bloodwater, because the first time he will interact in this session, so happy to have him. If he has a question, please take it. Please, Professor Blue.
Okay, good morning. Excuse me I have a question about the format of the file. Here you present a Word format. So I want to know how can I manage my metadata if I have a PDF format?
So for the PDF format, you will save actually this Word document as a PDF. So here, if you go, you do file, save as, and then for instance, course, and you put it as a PDF. See, so when you save it as a PDF, even the keywords save it in this Word document will be saved in the PDF. So basically, any change you do within the Word document, when you save it as a PDF, all these keywords, metadata, like accessibility check, will be stored in your PDF document. So that's why we start with the Word document or PPT document. So even for Microsoft PowerPoint, we still do the same process. We go to File, we add everything, and then we save it as PDF. And then we have like our PDF with the keywords and everything.
No, my question is, when the file is already in PDF format, how can I manage the metadata?
Yeah, but if your file is a PDF file, it's not in an editable format. Means in PDF, we cannot do an editing. So we need to first make it in Word document, or maybe there are some softwares which could help you in edit your PDF, and then you can insert your keywords. For instance,
okay, thank you.
You got me?
Okay, thank you.
You are always very welcome. So we go back to the second method, which is like OER Offering Tools. So for OER Offering Tools, we can go, as I said, several OER repositories are now providing this like functionality or this service, which is an offering tools to create OER. And in here, we can go to Oer Commons. I think you all know it, and we searched in it. So here we have oercommons.org. And if you go down below, you will see this one. So create OER with Open Author. So here, see, you can create OER with Open Author, and then you click on Get Started. So when you click on Get Started, you can see now the system is guiding you. So that's why we said now the process will be much easier. It's not like we are starting from scratch and we need to learn and do everything by ourselves. Here in Open Author, for instance, everything is guided. So first it says, okay, please enter a resource for your title. I will say, okay, I will be talking about Beijing Normal University. I'm just writing random stuff. So here I added the title of my content or my resources. Then it says, okay, please add an image, and it should be less than 10 megabytes. So I would click here. I would add BNU as a cover. It's loading. See, so now we have the title and we have the image, which is like for Beijing Normal University. Now we have section name, means I could have a course which is composed of several sections. The first section could be, for instance, introduction. The second section, for instance, could be, I don't know, like educational games, then I don't know, like big data, then learning analytics. So I could be teaching about games and I will be having like several sections. So I will say, okay, first section will be introduction. Then I put the main content. So in the section introduction, what will be the content that I will have? I will write anything now, just it's like a small demo. So I have introduction, blah, blah, blah. Here, if you have other resources, for instance, if you have complementary materials in your course, you could be teaching something and then you say, okay, I have some complementary resources that you could check and you could add it in here, you could attach it in here, or if you don't have, you can simply ignore it. Then if you have other sections, you can click on insert new section. So for instance, you say, okay, my course has two sections. The first section is introduction, blah, blah, blah. You put the content. Then the second section will be educational games or big data. So the second section, you simply click on insert new section. And it will give you same thing. So here, educational games. And then you put whatever content you want, blah, blah, blah. So here, let's suppose, so now our course is basically contains two sections. First section is introduction and its content. Then the second section is educational games and its content. Everything is perfect. We click here on next. See in green, we click on next. So when we click on next, here we have something called describe your resources. So you could say, okay, this course is for undergraduate students, for instance. Then see here, this is something automatic. So instead of searching for licenses and adding them by ourselves, like the first case, you need to go to Google Images or you need to Creative Commons to search for licenses. Here, it gives you everything. That's why we say in authoring tools, everything is automatic, everything is guided by the system, so you don't need to make any efforts. You simply need to have the basic knowledge about everything. So here, you need to learn the permissions for each license, and you say, okay, I want to have my license as public domain, and you simply click on it. Now we go here, see it says help make this discoverable to others. So now these are what we added in Microsoft Word and we call them metadata. So here, see, to make like your resource more discoverable. So subject, you can say like, okay, this is for computer science. Educational level, it's for preschool. And then materials type, it's, let's say, activity lab. And then language, it's English. Do you have like other descriptions like optional? So this one, what's like the format, educational use, etc. So here you can like add all the information you need. And finally, you say like, here you check that by checking this box, I'm declaring that I have the right to use and share all images. Again, here to make sure that you don't have any copyright issues. And finally, you click on publish. So as you can see here now, your course has been published. It's in here. It's called Beijing Normal University in here. So you can download it. you can add it to a class. Of course, here you can see here when you hash over, you can rate. So here I will give it, let's say 3 stars. So see, here I have rated my course 3 stars, or I can change my rating. Okay, I know it's very interesting. So let's make it 4 stars. So here you can do it 4 stars. If in any case you want to edit, you still can click on edit, and then it will take you back to the first interface where you can click everything and edit it, and then yeah, you simply publish it. So here your resources is on Oer Commons. So of course here you can see here the status is pending. What does it mean that the status is pending? Means your resource will not be automatically published, because in Oer Commons there is a policy to keep only high quality resources published in Oer Commons. Some people will first review your content, and if they think it's like within the norms, then they will accept it. So that's why here you can see the status is pending. So pending the review of the Oer Commons, like editorial team or like technical team, to double check everything. If everything is perfect, then they will authorize its publication online, and it can be found by others. So in general, this is how to search for OER. This is how to create an OER. Of course, we don't have enough time to go through a lot of tricks, to show a lot of things, but I hope like this small demo was useful for you guys, at least to give you one step forward to move like and explore OER. As we said, OER is like the new meta now, and it's the new wave, and it's definitely will help a lot in accessibility, in reducing costs, in everything, and hopefully this training will be useful for you. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for your very nice and deep presentation. Thank you very much. I think that we got the opportunity to discover many tools that will enable our colleagues to search for OERs, but also to create their own OERs. Maybe we invite colleagues now to ask their questions. I think there is one colleague, Muhammad, would like to ask a question. Muhammad?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lilia. I have a couple of questions. My first question is, when you, Dr. Ahmed, you searched on Alexo, it led us to Oer Commons. So Alexo is a sort of search engine which relies on Oer Commons, or what? I didn't get it. Secondly, my second question is, Dr. Khalid is raising a finger. Dr. Khalid, you are mute.
It's okay, because Ahmed should answer to this, because I replay on the chat box on what is Alexo. Okay, so go
I
ahead,
get it.
Ahmed,
Alexo is the organization, but when Dr. Ahmed searched on the Alexo,
yes.
What appeared to me that it took us to OpenER, Oer Commons. Correct me if I am wrong. I don't know. My second question is, can you please briefly go through the last stage where you added a new course? How did you initiate the process? I was unable to pay attention at the time, so I don't know how you started the process of adding a new course to Oer Commons. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Muhammad, sorry, thank you so much. Okay, so I will go first to the first question, then we go to the second question. So for Alexo is an independent organization, but it was the project of Alexo OER Hub was in collaboration with Oer Commons. So that's why, like, the whole repository or the whole platform was also hosted by Oer Commons. So both of them are independent, but it was like the Alexo OER Hub was in collaboration with Oer Commons. So that's why the whole repositories is hosted on Oer Commons, but these are like 2 repositories. So that's the first question. For the second question, okay, let me share my screen once again. Can you see my screen now, right?
Coming. Now it's okay.
Okay, perfect. So here, when you go to oercommons.org, right?
Add.
Then you go down below here. So in this blue like print. So there is something called Create OER with Open Author. So Open Author is a very known authoring tools to create OER, and it's provided by oercommons.org. So when you see this one, there is something called Get Started. So you click on it, and then it will take you to this interface where you can start everything. Of course, you should put something in your mind, Mohammed or any other of the audience. We always need to have an account on like Oer Commons. So first you need to create your account. It's a very simple process. I assume everyone is very familiar with, and then you can start creating your OER resources through Open Author. So here, this is my account, and I can like manage everything. And thank you so much. I'm not sure if you have any other questions. Please feel free.
No, it's okay. It's very much clear now. Thank you.
Perfect.
I think we have a second question from Lina.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. I just have some few questions. First, it's not always obvious to find the licenses, and sometimes it's written really very small that we cannot see what are the licenses. I don't know, but are we? Yeah, I couldn't find it every time. And the other thing is that I was searching for an OER, and when I found it, I just saw a padlock in some documents. I just didn't understand how can it be in the OER and there are some padlocks on the documents. This was, I don't know if you have seen this case.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. I'm not sure, like Lilia, do you want to take any of the questions?
The first one, if you permit, Ahmed.
Please.
You have already explained it, but I think I agree that sometimes it's difficult to find or to identify the license of the original document. But in case that you cannot find any information, first you have to contact the author of the document, or to take the license of the site on which the document is hosted. So normally this works also. So but in any case, you have to check with the author of the document whether, but in case that you don't find any license, please consider that there are copyrights on that document, because in case there are open licenses, you will in any case find either the logo of Creative Commons, or it is specifically mentioned on the first page of the document. This is my answer for the first question. The second question, I did not understand well the second question. Maybe Ahmed, you have answers for that.
Okay, thank you so much, Lilia. I think you took care very well of the first question. Just to make you feel well, Lina, like it's not only your problem about like open license. Open license is really a very big problem now. And like you said, sometimes logos are not very clear. Sometimes it's very difficult. And that's why even UNESCO in their like final OER recommendations at the end of 2019, one of the things to work on is open licenses. So that's a very big question. So I totally understand if you are facing like this problem, and I'm pretty sure too many people and too many users are asking always like thousands of questions about this. So thank you again for raising this question again. Like Lilia said, yeah, we definitely need to double check. Sometimes maybe if the description is not clear, then we need to go back, do some extra efforts by ourselves, like double check like those logos, what they mean, see the difference, see the definitions, and then we can choose the right one. For the second one, which is also very, very interesting, you said like, I see a padlock. which means, okay, this is OER, but how come it's an OER and it's closed? So here, despite that OER is not something new, a lot of people, they do not have the exact definition of OER. So some of them, for instance, because we have been working on several projects with Khaled, with Daniel, with Lilia about OER and in different contexts. So some of them, for instance, they publish as OER without an open license. So that's why, like Lilia said, okay, if you cannot find the license, then please double check with the authors. That's still not considered OER, but at least in their understanding, they think it's OER. So some other people think if you put it for free, then that's OER, but it's not only for free. You need to add open license. You need to give like accessibility to it. Like you said, okay, if it is with a padlock and I cannot access to it, how come it's OER? So that's why, like now, despite that OER is not a new concept, too many people are understanding it in a very different way. And that's why one of the first steps to facilitate the adoption of OER is to raise awareness. So when we say raise awareness, what do we mean first by OER? What's the importance of OER? Because we have been working in a lot of places. For instance, in some places, they say, okay, if it is something for free, then it's not with high quality, then I cannot use it. For me, I believe that if it is something free, I will not use it. It's not with a good quality, but it's not true. So that's why a lot of people are not adopting OER just because it's for free. So now we are trying, like through these projects, to facilitate the understanding of OER, to explain the importance of OER, because a lot of people, they don't have money. So like some textbooks in United States are like 2,000 USD, like 2,000 US dollars. So if I don't have 2,000 US dollars, I cannot learn. And that's why now we have open textbooks. So I'm pretty sure we will cover everything through everything. And I see like Khaled has more to say. Khaled, please.
I just want to tell that everything Ahmed said is true, because it depends on the concept. Myself, if I come back to many years before, we were publishing many capsules of courses, modules, and too much things, knowing that it's open, but without any open license. And this complicates things. It means that, as we said, when we started the module 2, when you publish something, it's protected by internet itself. So anybody else needs first to ask the others if he has the right to use or not. So licenses are not easy task. Even we give the basics concepts, it depends on the many other things. So great, Ahmed, thank you so much. There is also maybe 2 questions from Dr. Blood and Dr. Ines. Please.
Okay, my question is, I want to know about the importance of the rate of my post. Maybe its impact of my post, on my post, please. Do you understand me?
The impact of what? I'm sorry.
Oh, the impact of what, please?
The impact of the weight on my post.
Rate of your post. Okay.
Yeah.
The impact. So what's the rating is very important. So rating is very important to highlight to other users the quality of your like resource. For instance, if I put, let's say, a course, you give me 5 stars. Then, for instance, Khaled give me 4 stars. Then Lilia give me 4 stars. Then Lina give me 5 stars. So in this way, the system will do the sum of all those ratings, and then it will gives me the average. For instance, it will be 4 stars in average by all users. So for me as a user, when I see this course and it contains 4 stars, I will know that too many users accessed to this content and they like it, or somehow it's with high quality. So that's why I should go and read it or use it instead of using some courses which are with 1 star. So 4 stars is definitely much better than courses with 1 star. So ratings helps in identifying like the quality of like the resources. And in some platforms now they are using like artificial intelligence in a way that the algorithm will analyze all the resources and will do some sort of a tree. What does it mean, tree? Means it will show you the resources with high ratings on top. So 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 stars, no stars, no rating. So in this way, it's somehow saying like from the high quality to the lowest quality. So in this way, it will help you or facilitate the process of identifying those resources with high quality things. I hope it's.
May add
Yeah,
something,
please.
Ahmed. So as you explained, the rating is very important, and thank you, dear colleague, for raising this important thing about rating of resources. But this is also in the same sense of what we have said during our theoretical presentation, because open educational resources are part of open education framework in general. And this open framework, you will find also open review, actually, the peer review of your resources by other persons, by other users. So this goes in the same sense and in the same logic of sharing these resources and being evaluated and reviewed by peers or by other persons. Second thing that I would like to add, and that I have already posted on the chat box, when Ahmed spoke about the metadata and the importance of metadata, please keep in mind that when you use OERs, we have actually to mainstream actually the characteristics of RED, which means that your resources should be reusable. It could be reused in other contexts. Your resource could be accessible, which means the accessibility was deeply explained by Ahmed. Durable, which means that your resource could be used for a long time. And finally, interoperable, which means that your resource could be exchanged between various environments. Nowadays, you are using, for example, the LMS Moodle. Next year, you will move to another LMS, so you can actually host your resource on other environments based on the metadata that you have provided, and that could facilitate actually the exchange of or the interoperability of your resources between various environments. This is the 2 points that I like to actually to emphasize or to explain further, Ahmed. And maybe if we can take another question from Dr. Ines.
Thank you, Dr. Lilia. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed and Dr. Khaled, for your presentation. So I have 2 questions. The first one is to prepare a course, at what level the OER can represent a source of trust, because we are used to consulting books to prepare course or lessons. So the second question is how can we integrate open education culture to our education institutions? Thank you.
2 nice questions and 2 important questions. If you permit, Ahmed, I may add some elements, and maybe you have other elements regarding these questions. Regarding the first question, I think that the quality of the resources is a huge topic and a huge subject of discussion related to OERs. But very simple thing and very basic thing. When you are a teacher, I'm also a teacher. When I'm searching for OERs and I find that OER is suitable for my course, the first metric is whether this OER is suitable to my learning outcomes of my teaching material, whether it is appropriate for the target audience. These are basic metrics that you will use in order to evaluate the importance and the appropriate whether this OER is appropriate or not for your course. Then Okay, for some topics you have to look for quality, and maybe the rating will help you also to see whether it has been used already by other colleagues around the world and in which context it has been used. But in any way, I think all of us, we are using the web for preparing our courses now. So I think if we have the opportunity to use this open resources, it will certainly be an enrichment for our courses. Second question is regarding the culture. This is a very important aspect and very important subject. From my side, in my university, I'm working hardly on that because it should be actually correlated with the strategic orientation of your university. In your university, you should clearly specify that you are mainstreaming an open education strategy, an open education culture, and in that way you can further promote actually open education. You can put in place an OER policy, and you can engage and involve further people in the production of OERs and also in this culture of openness. But if you are acting as a single actor, you can actually achieve some objectives, but it will be very difficult. So I think the best thing is that you create a community that will actually act as advocates or as persons promoting further open education. I was last week an Open Education Global Conference, and I attended a very nice presentation. I hope that I will find the recording of that, of the president of the University of Nantes in France, who has put in place an OER policy for her university, and Nantes is called Open University now. And it was really amazing because open is everywhere, in governance, in research, in innovation, in education. So, but it is really a strategic vision of implementation of open education. This is my opinion regarding the two questions. Maybe Ahmed, you have some things better than me to add.
No. You covered everything like amazingly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just I will add like a couple of tricks, at least personal tricks I'm using. Like you said, Lilia, like trust is a very huge topic now about OER. So at least for me, if I'm searching for OER, one of the tricks that I'm using, first, I will search where this OER is published, just like journals, for instance. If I'm searching for like a journal paper, I will go and see the journal. Is it with high reputation, yes or no? If yes, then okay, this is somehow could be trusted. Like I showed you earlier, if we create our resources, it will not be automatically published on Oer Commons. They need to keep their reputation high. So they will have a team, they will double check your resources. And if it is everything and in line with their policies and views and like vision, they will accept it. So for me, at least, if I go to Oer Commons, somehow I'm pretty like ensure about the quality, let me say. My second trick is to search the author. Okay, I found someone called, I don't know, I'm saying random names. Paul has created an OER about, let's say, I don't know, games, okay? So, okay, who's Paul? One of my tricks, I will go and search the author. Is he a well-known like author or researcher or like engineer in this field, yes or no? Then I can decide, okay, author has too many publications about games. Author has, Paul has did this, and this in games. Then somehow I feel confident about Paul. Of course, if I feel confident about Paul, I will feel confident about his like outcomes, whether it's a course, whether it's like a presentation, etc. So at least these are some of my personal tricks which I use to somehow like decide like about trust and quality. Unfortunately, there is no formula which can give you if this is one could be trusted, yes or no. That's why it's a huge topic now. That's why people are using like a lot of tricks, like with algorithms, with everything. So it's a new open topic that we are working on. We don't have like this magic stick to say, okay, this can be trusted, this cannot be trusted. So we are still trying our best and hopefully it works. For your second question, like Lilia said, like adopting OER is a whole ecosystem. We cannot change everything by ourselves. It should be like a vision by the government, then a vision by like universities, then it should be like a vision and collaboration also with nonprofit organizations. So it should be the collaboration of everyone. And then we have also teachers, because if we have a vision by the government and the university and it's not adopted by teachers, it will not work. So that's why, for instance, let's take the example of China. For instance, in China, if you publish your courses as open educational resources, you will get some sort of bonuses. So why they are doing this? They are doing this to encourage the culture of openness and adopting open educational resources. So in this way, we are trying our best to do this. The government, for instance, is providing free trainings and free certificates to over like 10 million teachers annually. So in this way, it's more about like, it's a whole ecosystem. It's not only me as a teacher, okay, I will change everything. I'm not Superman. Yeah, unfortunately. So that's why it's a whole ecosystem between the government, universities, nonprofit organizations, teachers, etc. And I can see like my dear colleague Khalid, because he has been an active like researcher in this field. Khalid, please.
The ecosystem that Ahmed was talking about is not easy, but things are really coming after China, after many countries. Things are happening with the help with Alexo, UNESCO. There are many things happening now in Africa, in Arab countries, as well as the link I shared with you, the series of consultation by UNESCO. The first one will be from Cairo, with a regional office in Cairo, to discuss about strategies in place, policies, and this kind of things. If you are interested, you can join and register, and maybe we can take benefit from what is happening in every country. Even sometimes I cannot know what is happening in the south or the north of Morocco. Maybe many things are happening, but we need global things. We need that government, the higher education institution, maybe, and national education will be involved and putting in place adopting some parts of recommendation, as Ahmed explained, but things are happening. It will be the initiative chosen by Chinese universities. I think it's nice. We should go in the same way and give maybe credit to people who are producing, who are also encouraging this spirit of openness in education. Okay, so this is everything. Before we will leave, please, can you turn on your camera to take a photo, please? Still, we are here. Thank you so much. Of course, we have 10 minutes. If you have more questions, Lilia and Ahmed, I think will be pleased to answer to your questions.
I would like to ask colleagues to ask their questions also if they have questions on the forum. So we will be happy to answer your questions, and to actually, if you have difficulties in preparing the activities, please do not hesitate to ask your questions on the forum, but also during our next meeting also.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, done. Thank you. Okay, so we for who are asking about the live session, everything is online, and thanks for the UNIR team. They are putting everything.
Is that okay now?
Yes, we can take another one if you want. Okay.
You can see me now, right? My camera is on.
Yes, now it's okay. I
I'm sorry.
Oh, nice, Diba.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, more maybe? No. Okay. Done. Thank you. Good.
Merci.
I have one question.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead, Nina, please.
I'm sorry, I had a lot of questions. I just wanted to know, because I tried, of course, I just tried to practice, and I found the documents, and I said, okay, I will try to translate it because it was interesting for my course. And then I did some translation, and when I have to put it down on the OER as free open documents, I don't know how to do to put the good to name a good original file and how to put it back in the circle. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to publish it like an OER. Did you understand my question?
No.
So I took a documents and it was interesting. So I said, I will translate it because it was free of everything, of course, and I can do it reposted as an OER, but it was in English and then I translated in French.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to of course, to repost it.
Yes, but you have to respect the original license.
Yeah, of course, I had to write it down. Yeah, that's it. And
but
then
the new license should be based on the initial one.
Yeah, of course, it was a free one. It was a free license. I mean, like a buy.
Okay, great.
So I did only buy. That's it. And I named the original English license. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so okay, thank you.
Just one thing to add, Lina, if I understood you correctly. So to put it in the back in the circle, so you have two ways. First, how to choose like a very accurate name. That's again like a very hard topic. That's why now we are using like some machines to do some automatic tagging and titling of some videos, or like for instance Netflix, if they are opening, like they are putting like some movies or everything, they use this automatic tagging. We don't have like an exact formula, but somehow with experience we need to think about some interesting titles which could attract readers, etc. We also do them, for instance, in our journal papers, how to make a reader choose one topic and not the other one. So we need to play with the words. We need to see which one is more interesting or add more suspense in the words. So this is how to choose a title. To put it back in the circle, again, as OER, we have two ways. The first way is to publish it in your own like private space. Could be, for instance, your online website. You have an online website where you put your courses or your CV or your achievement, so you can put it in there. Or also you can upload it in one of the OER repositories that we have talked about. So you can create your OER by yourself from scratch, it's possible. Then you can go to Oer Commons and upload your resources in there. Of course, it still needs to be reviewed by like the technical team in there, then it will be added in there. So basically we have two ways, either our own like website or another platform or other OER repository, and bingo, like people can find it in there.
Yeah, if you allow me.
Yes,
we
please.
take the last question from you, Yamina.
Yeah, because I actually could not join from the very beginning. I had some technical issues, and I did do the readings for this module 3, and I can tell you, I should admit, I am in human sciences, so not much, I don't have many skills in technology. So I did the reading, and I found out that, of course, what you presented in the session is more practical. And I'm asking if we can have this recording as soon as possible, so as to go back to it, because it will help us a lot, because it's too technical, and I guess people in humanities will really find it very challenging to get into all this stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yamini. I think Khalid, our dear colleague Khalid, will put the recording soon on the platform, right, Khalid?
Yeah. There is a team. They are all the time with us. The UNIR team is in charge of making good recording sessions, as they did for all other modules twice a week. You can check photo, you can check the chat box, you can check the recording session. This session will be very soon on the platform. Of course, many colleagues ask the same question like Amina, and of course I agree. And since the session was really very active and many questions, and thanks to all participants for their nice interactivity, and also Lilia and Ahmed, no doubt. Okay, good. So
just one last thing. So Yamina or any of the other colleagues, if anytime or whatsoever you have any difficulties, please do not hesitate to let your comments or your questions in the forum, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So it's not the end of our session. We will definitely have asynchronous interaction and communications. So we encourage you to even initiate some topics between each others, and we will be there to join you and see your feedback about OER and everything and what you expect from using OER, or if you have any difficulties, we will be more than happy to help you out and guide you through the process. And thank you so much once again for attending this session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Lilia. And thanks to all our colleagues. And again, I will say something. This is maybe second time I am inviting colleagues from countries, because when we are talking about initiative from UNESCO, Alexo, or others, here is the ISISCO launching this program, and the ISISCO, the part of the ISISCO, which is the Federation of Universities of Islamic World. We will be happy, since we are having people and colleagues, professors, doctors, PhD students from Pakistan, Egypt, Maldives, Nigeria, Togo, Cameroon, many places in that Islamic universities. Ahmed and Daniel, he is also with us, and Lilia and all colleagues. I will be very pleased to make a call to invite all colleagues to help in drafting some book on what is happening in their countries. Even it is still starting, like the things, Ahmed, you did with your university in China, which was about OER in Arab countries, like the thing you did in Asia countries. We are interested in doing the same things in Islamic, and we have the business model. We can invite by teams. I am not for Morocco. It will be Lina, Yamina, myself, colleagues from Morocco, Zainab, and others. In Tunisia, it will be Ines, Lilia, Ahmed. Okay, in Cameroon, it will be the team of Walter and others. And in other Islamic universities, it will be nice to do the same, Ahmed. Any feedback, I can prepare things. We can prepare survey, questionnaires, any kind of things to publish what is happening really, and it will be published under the umbrella of the FUIW, which is the Federation of Universities. And this will be the first time to publish something in this kind of things. It can take 6 months or 1 year, but at least we are able all together to do that. And we're talking about only this team. We are organizing 4 different sessions, and all over the time we will collect data. We will have the new faces, we will have the new experiences, experience many other things with other colleagues. At the end, I think that from this session we can, by the end of June, have many things to collect, to put in place, and add the session in September, November, and the next year, maybe whatnot. What do you think, Ahmed, Lilia, also Daniel, if he can give a word on that, also to do the job to conduct this initiative, all of us. Thank you.
Excellent idea. Excellent idea.
Yes,
Yeah,
excellent.
Please, Lilia, please.
Yes, it's an excellent idea. Khalid has always excellent idea.
Indeed.
I can qualify you, Khalid, as innovative, open educator. I mean, you have the award of that.
He is the leader in Morocco. I know. I call him the leader.
The leader, yes, the chef. The chef.
I think Khalid is speaking, but he's muted.
Sorry. I was just asking for help. What is the meaning of in English, of course? This was my question. Okay, so I know that Yamina for human science, yes, but she is also writing books and many things in research on internationalization. Ahmed did all his research parts on publishing books, and Daniel, Lilia, Fawaz, Lina also is in charge of international project of my thesis in 180 seconds. We are having Mohammed from Pakistan is also editing things. So many colleagues from us, we can do many other things. Of course, Imrana and all others. So Irfana, I cannot cite all of them. Okay, so please, we can at least have result, and for me the result can be a kind of book at the end of the 4 training sessions. We have time, but we can start from now. If you are interested, we can join all together and draft something to start and make basic things to send, like questionnaires, like survey, like research methodology or research questions with this kind of thing. This is why I am asking each of us to help as much as he or she can to have at the end of this course and other courses something that we can share openly with all the community to of course to encourage them to switch in openness, open education, OER, using OER, etc. And I'm sure that it will be a success if of course you help.
And this is for the sustainability of this project as well. It would be very good for the sustainability of the project.
Because we discussed the point with Dr. Omar, and he's free to help. When I say free to help, if we need to have fund to publish book or for editor, he can help. They can help. The organization, they can help, and of course to make it open to all scientific community. What do you think, Ahmed?
That's an amazing idea. Indeed, I agree with Yamina. It will be for the sustainability of this project, and like one of the achievements, of course, it will be too many achievements for this project, and it will be one of the achievements to put in like value, like the outcomes of this project, and also to learn more about the Islamic countries, because we can see in the literature there is about Asia, there is about Europe, there is about America, but if we search about Islamic countries, none. It's almost none, black box. So definitely that's a very amazing idea. Khalid, thank you so much for initiating this idea, and I can see the participants are very interested and very active, so we encourage you like to join us in this initiative. Together we can change everything. As always, someone by himself or herself, she cannot or he cannot do anything. As a team, we can do everything together. So we encourage you to join us in this like initiative, and hopefully we can do a lot of things together. And once again, thank you so much, Khalid, for this amazing idea.
Thanks to all of you, of course.
Yeah, and as one of the main challenges we are facing in the Arab world is awareness of the value and importance of OER, I think that trying to find out about how much informed our colleagues and even our students are aware of this will really contribute and develop awareness. So research, the role of research is actually addressing issues develops awareness among the community or the societies. Thank you. Excellent.
Thanks to all of you, of course. Okay, so now if Lilia and Ahmed finish the session, and if you don't have more questions, we can say goodbye to next Thursday. Of course, we will discuss all of us and come back to all of you if you are interested to join us, of course, and I hope that you can. It will be good. Okay,
for
so
me,
yes,
for me,
Ines.
I agree. So I agree. From Tunisia, I can participate to this handbook. Okay, I can coordinate with you. So
yes, as I said, in the total countries we are having, not only for this session but for also for French session, we have 21 countries. If we can concentrate the work at least with 15 countries, it will make 15 chapters published under Scopus or Web of Science or whatever, but at least make something happen. And this something happen can happen, inshallah, of course.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Inshallah, yes.
So if no more question, I will say goodbye to all of you and see you on Tuesday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. See you on Thursday.
Thank you, dear colleagues.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.